And we are on air.
Hi guys, my name is Brianna, and today we're going to be talking about the book versus the movie of Chemical Hearts. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so this book right here, Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland, has been my favorite book since the very first time I wrote it. You can see it's pretty worn out. It has like these black splotches on it. Don't know where that's from. The edges are all frayed. And this is just the cover. The book itself is really like plain, but I just really love the way it looks also. Like, look at that. I love this book so much. And there are many things highlighted throughout the book, and I've read this book many times since I first read it, and this book just means a lot to me. Now, when I found out this book was getting a movie, I was beyond excited. I was also super excited because the author, Crystal Sutherland, was really promoting it and talking about how excited she was and how amazing she thought it was and how happy she was to like see it in a physical form. So obviously when the author themselves is telling you to be excited for the movie version of their book, you think it's gonna really live up to the book a lot. Obviously a book and a movie are never going to be exactly alike. It's almost impossible. The day that I see a movie that's just like the book, I will be shocked. But I obviously went into this with really high expectations. And right off the bat, I'm going to be 100% honest. This whole video is going to be pretty brutal. I mean, this is my favorite book, and it honestly did not live up to it in movie form. And I am disappointed, and I do want to talk about it and share my feelings and talk about what was different and basically just all my thoughts on it. So this movie came out 2 days ago. Literally, I'm filming this the day I'm gonna post it. Today is Sunday. The movie came out on Friday. I have seen the movie twice since then. So I watched it the first time on Friday. My friend Fiona came over, we watched it together, and I had seen the trailer, and the trailer made me really nervous for the movie because it didn't look anything like the book, but I still was hopeful, you know? So I watched the movie with Fiona, just watched it, lots of pausings, lots of oh my gods, lots of, but it's not supposed to be like that. What about this? What about this going on? Then today, right before I sat down to film this, I watched it again, and this time I kept some paper by my side and wrote down some things that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to talk about. There are plenty of things not on these pieces of paper that I will talk about, but I did write some things down that I didn't want to forget. Before I get into the details of this, because I'm sure I'm going to be going on and on for quite a while, I'm sure this is going to be a long video, I do want to say a couple things. First of all, I will be having spoilers in this from the book and the movie, so if you haven't seen or read it, please go do those before you finish this video. I do recommend that you do watch the movie just so you can have your own opinions. I don't want to sway anyone. If you like a movie, you should like it, and you shouldn't let someone saying they don't like it be the only reason you don't like something. So definitely go watch it for yourself. And obviously I recommend the book because I mean, it's my favorite book. Why wouldn't I recommend it? Next thing I want to talk about. While I'm speaking about this, I don't want anyone to take it the wrong way. I highly doubt that anyone involved in the movie or the book will ever watch this. With the slim chance that someone from one of those two things is watching this, please don't take all of this the wrong way. I think you're all incredibly talented. I just think that I was expecting something different, and that's why I'm disappointed. Because you can see that a lot of thought did go into it, and it is beautifully done. There's a lot of really amazing shots in there, and the acting is really good. It's just not the match to the book that I was looking for or hoping for. Because I'm gonna be honest, when I found out that Lily Reinhart was going to be directing this movie, I think directing or producing, something like that. When I found that out, I was quite pleased because I think she's very talented, and I thought that she would have very good perspective and really do something with this. However, when I found out she was going to be acting in it and that she herself was going to be Grace Town, I was disappointed, and I'll tell you why. Lily Reinhart is an amazing actress. She's so talented, but she doesn't fit the character. And this is gonna sound very stupid, but it's for the plain purpose that she's too beautiful. In the beginning of the book, you're supposed to see Grace as this average-looking girl who's sickly thin, looks like a junkie, is depressed, wears dirty clothes, doesn't wash her hair, and quite frankly, that's just not Lily Reinhart. She is stunning, always well put together, and I didn't have hope that they would make her look basically depressed enough, because she's just too clean cut. And I was kind of right. So most of the shots in the movie, I would say her hair looks perfectly clean. It might not look like well done, like maybe it's thrown up in a bun or something like that, and I guess that's their thing at making her look messy or whatever, or not put together, but her hair was always clean. She always looked clean. Her clothes never looked dirty, because in the book she's supposed to be wearing her dead boyfriend's clothes. Supposedly is in the movie, but a lot of times she's not wearing his clothes, and when she is, they don't look unwashed or anything like that. They just look like slightly baggy clothes, like that maybe she's just trying a new style of clothing or something like that. Like they said in the movie, it's been 9 months, and then it progresses to have been a year, and then onward. It doesn't look like those clothes had not been washed for 9 months. So that was the first thing that bugged me, because how can you have someone play a character when they don't even look like the character? I hope that makes sense. I don't know. That was my first thing that I had an issue with when I first even saw the trailer, because to me, if the characters don't even look right, if the characters aren't quote-unquote correct, then I don't really have faith for the rest of the movie. However, I really, really wanted it to be good, so I kept my hope and I waited to see the actual movie. Let me tell you, I was so nervous to watch the movie because I really wanted to like it. It's my favorite book, of course I want to like the movie. But I just didn't. We'll get into more about Grace's character in a bit, but just looks-wise, that was the first thing that was wrong. So let's move forward. Here's a list I wrote. Missing characters. Okay? Missing characters on my list. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 missing characters, and I'm sure I missed others. I don't understand this one, right? The book is not just about Grace and Henry. The book is about so many other people. The movie is just about Grace and Henry. That's it. The friends, his 2 closest friends, yeah, they're in it, barely. There's so much more in it in the book, and I will get more into that later, but it's just like, what's the point of it? I don't understand. So the missing characters I have here, the number 1 missing character I was really upset about from the get-go, Ryan. Ryan is Sadie's son. Sadie is Henry's sister. She's in the movie, but her son is not. Well, the first thing I thought when I saw that was, who's gonna adopt the fish? Well, it turns out there is no fish to adopt, because Ricky Martin Nups and Ricky Martin Nups 2, they don't exist in the movie. So, that was just like, okay, because that was supposed to be a whole thing. That was one of the things that got Grace and Henry, like, getting close, because they were the mom and the dad, you know, to the fish. Oh, speaking of the fish, you know what really bothers me? And this is so stupid. If everything else that I'm upset about the movie was not like that, this wouldn't bother me at all. It's just something stupid that, like, because I'm a perfectionist, it bothers me. Look at this book. What color are the fish? They're blue. The whole aesthetic of this book is blue. The writing in the book, how they describe the fish. Silver. Blue and silver. I always pictured them as these blue fish, when they move quickly in the water, look silver. The fish in the movie are orange. Orange. That's not correct. Anyways, keep going with the missing characters. I am very sorry if I pronounce this incorrectly. I do not know how to pronounce it. Sita Ganguli, I'm not sure how to say that. In the book, they call her Sugar Gandhi, which they also recognize in the book that that's racist. I fully understand why they would not call her Sugar Gandhi in the movie, but why get rid of her whole character? I can tell you exactly why. Because she's in the book connected through Murray, which is Henry's friend. Murray is barely in the movie, so if he's not a main character like he's supposed to be, why would his love interest be a main character? So the way they have the movie, it makes sense why she's not in it, but I'm still upset about that. This next one, I'm really upset about. I really like this character, and the fact that she's not in it made me very upset. Madison Carlson. So Madison is important in the book for a few reasons. She's the gossip girl. So she's the one who tells Henry to go look for Grace at the track. Well, instead, Muzz just texts him about it. Murray texts him and says, oh, you should go to the track to see Grace. So, boom, one reason we don't need her. They just replaced someone else saying that to him. Next thing, she's supposed to be like the popular girl who falls into their in-group and like becomes friends with them, and she has like a thing for Murray. I really liked that, and she was most definitely not a main character. She was a side character, but if they had just made Murray more of a main character, they easily could have had her in the movie with no issues. There's no reason to cut her out. It just upsets me. But anyway, she was a side character, so maybe I'm just being dramatic. Moving on, Georgia. Georgia is Lola's girlfriend. Now, this I don't understand. I don't understand why George is not in it, because Lola, although not a main character, is more of a main character in the movie than Murray is. Lola has a whole different story in the movie than she does in the book, which I don't understand, because usually when you take a book and you turn it into a movie, you just condense it. You take certain things out, rewrite it a bit so that it can fit in an hour and a half to 2 hours. You don't swap storylines. That doesn't make sense. So instead of having Georgia in the movie, they give Lola a whole different love interest with a whole different storyline that's not in the book at all. For why? Because the storyline in the book and the storyline in the movie are both LGBTQ+. So what's the purpose of changing up who the love interest is? Because it doesn't add up. So just if someone could explain to me the purpose of switching out the character, that'd be great. Because I really liked George's character, and I don't understand the point of a different character for Lola. I don't know. Regardless, moving on. Okay, so there's 2 teachers missing. One is Mrs. Beatty, the drama teacher. Her character's not really relevant. More so what's relevant is that they cut out the whole drama class. That's supposed to be where Henry and Grace meet. I wouldn't mind if they cut out every single drama class scene after that, because there's not much of them and they can easily be written into different things. But that meeting scene, really, it bugs me that it's different. They have them meet instead when they're going to do the paper, but they're supposed to already know who each other are when that happens, so it just messes with the storyline a lot. Speaking of things being cut out, just while I have it on my mind, the lockers is different. So Henry, he's not supposed to ask Grace for a ride home ever, but he does. In fact, she doesn't really ever offer. He asks her every time. So she's supposed to just show up at his locker and be like, do you want to ride? Do you want to ride? Do you want to ride? Instead, he's pursuing her and then being like, oh, I missed my bus. Could I get a ride? Oh, I missed my bus. Could I get a ride? And it doesn't make any sense, because the point is supposed to be, like, this is what I get from it in the book, is that, yeah, Grace is going through a lot. Yeah, she's struggling. Yeah, she shouldn't be in a relationship right now. And it's not fair of Henry to expect that from her. However, Grace pursues Henry. Grace is toxic towards Henry, and Grace leads Henry on. So, although Henry is not sensitive to her situation, she's not sensitive to what she's pushing him into either. So they change it up so much that you don't see Grace's toxicity as much, and it kind of becomes confusing to understand the storyline, because it just makes Henry look like a big jerk, in my opinion. But the other teacher that was missing was Mr. Hotchkiss. Hotchkiss is the math teacher. That's not really why I'm mad. I don't care that the math teacher's not in it or whatever, because even the whole PE scene where Hotchkiss is in it and they do the the dodgeball thing. I don't even care that that scene was cut out. It was a funny scene, I liked it, but it's not really relevant to the storyline. There's no reason to need that in a movie, especially when you have to condense a book. That's not needed at all. I'm upset that he's not in it because of Sadie. She's supposed to have set the kitchen on fire in the Family Consumer Science class, and he's supposed to be the teacher, and I really liked that, how like that was her redemption. However, Sadie's character's not like that at all in the movie, but even if she was, it wouldn't matter because there is no redemption, which is like, it makes no sense to me. That's like the ending of the book. That's the whole resolution of it, is redemption and making the newspaper about redemption. Instead, the newspaper is about teenage limbo. Okay, what's the point of changing up the whole thing? This is supposed to be a movie adaptation of this book. It's not supposed to be a movie that's kind of sort of got inspiration from this book. It's supposed to be the adaptation of it. So why are they just making drastic writing changes? I don't understand. The newspaper is supposed to be about redemption, not teenage limbo. Teenage limbo is a great theme idea for a paper, but it doesn't fit the storyline. It's not the resolution to the story. Another thing about the newspaper, why is the teacher present for the whole thing? Because they struggle with the newspaper and getting distracted, not getting the newspaper done and all that, and then going in on the last night and fixing it and making it all about redemption and redeeming themselves. That is a huge part of the storyline, but that is not in the movie at all whatsoever, because there is a teacher supervising the whole entire thing. Like, I'm sorry, what? That's not supposed to happen. Another thing about the newspaper, in the movie, all 4 things of the paper are released. In the movie, the redemption paper that comes out is the first of the papers. So the book doesn't show the whole school year. It doesn't show graduation. It doesn't show anything that happens afterwards. The movie shows the whole school year going up to graduation. Why? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you lengthen the time to shorten a book? That doesn't really make sense to me. I don't understand their logic. I don't know. Moving on, let's go into the characters that were in the movie. Let's talk about what was wrong with them. What made them different than the book? Because I'll tell you, there wasn't one single character who was the same character. Like Grace's character in the book and Grace's character in the movie, they might both be named Grace. They're not the same character. And the thing that blows my mind is that obviously if your book is made into a movie, you're going to be very excited and you're going to promote it and this and that. But Krista Sutherland, the author of this book, amazing writer. I would love to speak to her one day and just like thank her for writing this book. But anyways, she has been speaking out about this movie so much and talking about how much she loves it and how she cried the first time and how beautiful it is and all this stuff. I would really love to speak to her and ask her really truly what was going through her mind when she was on set, when she first read parts of the scripts, when she first saw the movie, when she first saw the trailer. Because I can't comprehend that she really saw it and loved it. I can't comprehend that. Because if I wrote something, I would want a movie adaptation of it to be as close to what I wrote as possible. And if they're changing the fabric of my characters, I'm not going to be in love with the end product. Maybe I will be incredibly happy that my book got an adaptation, and I'll be incredibly happy that it's going to bring more traction towards my book. But I'm not going to be in love with the movie. So I would just love to just like genuinely speak to her, have like an interview or something, and just be like asking her a lot of specific questions that I have about the whole process of it becoming a movie, because I cannot wrap my head around how she's totally ecstatic and over the moon about her characters being changed. But that will probably never happen. Probably never get a chance to speak to her or meet her or anything ever. But she's incredibly talented, and that would be amazing. Moving on back to how the characters are different. Alright, let's start with Sadie. In the book, Sadie is a divorced mother, doctor, evil genius, as Henry describes her. And she is a bad kid, she's reckless, she gets expelled from school, gets detentions all the time, gets arrested. In the movie, she's just a heartbroken doctor who wants to be there for her brother. She has about 2 relevant scenes in the movie, which is absurd because she's a main character in the book. She has a scene where she's heartbroken, crying and talking to Henry about her pain, which never happens in the book, so that doesn't make sense either. And then she has a scene that is in the book, but it's quite different from the book, where she talks about Henry's getting heartbroken and all that. What happened in that process that they decided to not make Sadie's character Sadie? You know? It doesn't make any sense to me. She's supposed to be this bad kid, all this blah blah blah, but at the same time the successful one and the genius and all this stuff. And I really liked Sadie's character, and I thought it was really great to show people that like your mistakes don't define you, and that one day you can be incredibly successful despite any mistakes you made in your childhood. So the fact that they took her character out basically really upset me, because I thought that it was a great message to send to young people. But oh well, I guess her character is just not going to be like that. And her character not being like that makes the whole newspaper thing, it would have been impossible to play into anyways, because on the last day when they go and they finish the newspaper, they're supposed to break into the school. Sadie's supposed to break into the school. They're supposed to get caught, but then the security guard sees Sadie and knows Sadie from her childhood of being a bad kid and all this stuff, and he decides, I'll let them in, and then they get to finish the newspaper. If Sadie's character isn't a bad kid, how is she gonna do that? So I don't know. Anyways, let's see. Next character. Let's talk about Murray. You know what? Before we get specifically to Murray, let's talk about Murray and Lola. They're supposed to go over Henry's house every day after school, and basically that's it. They're there every day. They know all the things. They know that Grace is driving him home. They see the car there. They say, ooh, a girl, blah, 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 all this stuff. And the thing is, you see that relationship between Henry and Lola. You see the closeness. You don't see the details of it. We don't actually see them at each other's houses. We don't actually ever see them hang. It stopped recording. Where was I up to? I was saying how Lola and Henry, you can see their closeness, but you don't actually ever see them actually doing stuff. You see them all together on the bus, see them all together in the newspaper. And Murray's in the newspaper in the movie, but he's not in the book. Why is he in the newspaper? That's not supposed to be his thing. I don't understand that. Also, they downplayed Murray's character so much. He's barely in it. I loved his character. Also, his curls were so tame. He's supposed to have like a lion's mane, where his hair's like falling in his face and he has to borrow hair clips from Lola to get it out of his face and all this stuff. Also, they're supposed to always be hanging out at his house, playing video games, talking, and like that's when he searches up Grace and they all see her. And like all this stuff. Speaking of him searching up Grace, how does he get her phone number in the movie? He just automatically has it one day. We never see him get it from her. That's strange. Continuity error. Anyways, we don't see much from Murray and Lola, so it's just like, what the heck? Also, we don't see Lola's birthday. That's supposed to be literally a giant scene. So major scenes, in my opinion, are supposed to be Heslin's party, the party, then the Halloween party, Lola's birthday, and then Grace's birthday. I would say those are the 4 main ones. Out of those, we see 1. We see the Halloween party. What? But I'll get back to that. Alright, so Murray and Lola, they became side characters, and all the zhuzh from their characters is gone, and that makes me really sad because I really like their characters, and yeah. Okay, moving on. Henry's parents. In the book, Henry's parents appear to be this like picture perfect high school sweethearts, blah blah blah. But then when Henry gets his heart broken, Sadie tells him the truth. No, they actually had a split, and they only got back together for you, and blah blah, and then at the end they split again. That never happens. They're just high school sweethearts in the movie. Second thing, in the book, his parents are so chill. They let him basically do whatever he wants because Sadie was such this bad kid. They're just like, as long as you're not, doing all this crazy stuff. He tells them he's gonna go drinking, and they say, okay, but be safe. Basically, he tells them he's gonna go commit illegal activity, and they're like, well, you need a getaway vehicle, messing around with him, all this stuff. If they just wanted to like make it out of no point, not even mention it, whatever, blah blah blah, fine. But they go completely against that idea of the parents being like that, and the parents are actually super overprotective and they flip out on him when he asks to borrow the car in the movie, and they don't let him. They tell him to call an Uber, but he can't call an Uber because he doesn't have a credit card. So his dad's just like, well, then you can walk. These super supposedly chill parents, now translated into physical form, are now gonna not let their son, like, if you didn't want him driving the car, then you drive him. It doesn't make sense. They're supposed to be super chill. They're super chill in the book. Now in real life, all of a sudden they're gonna be like, no, we won't let you take the car, blah, 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 and all this stuff. Also, when he goes to stalk Grace, and he finds her in the cemetery, he's not supposed to be on foot. He's supposed to be with Lola and Murray, and Sadie's supposed to be driving them. They just cut out all those characters, makes him do all this stuff by himself, when he could have just had them with him. I don't understand. And when he goes to see her at the track, Murray's supposed to be with him. And that was so funny. I was so excited to see that in the movie. I thought for sure they were going to put that scene in, because Murray was narrating everything, and it was so funny. I wanted to see it. I was so disappointed when they did not have that in there, because, like, what the heck? But anyways, what else? Let me look at my notes. Oh yeah, so when Grace takes him to go see the railroad thing, that's the fifth important scene, I guess. I forgot to mention that. It's not a railroad, it's a cotton mill. What's the point in changing that? I don't understand. They're making really strange changes that don't make sense at all to have changed. Next thing, she's supposed to carve in the wall Grace and Dom, or like G&D forever or something like that. I think it was Dom plus Grace forever. I can't remember exactly. Instead, it's just something Latin. I forget exactly what they said. She says later in the movie what it means because it's on the little necklace. Something like, you save me and I save you, or something like that. What's the purpose in that? It's not in the book. It wasn't, the original writer did not put that in there, so what's the point in changing it? You're supposed to condense the book, not change it. So I don't understand. The next thing, this just confused me, because I don't know if I've been misreading the book all this time, or if they just decided to change it. In the movie, I forget how to say, I don't know how to say it, like, Kinutsuri or something like that. I'm 100% saying it incorrectly. This thing with the vases, that broken things look better with gold seams, and like when something's broken, when you fix it, it's more beautiful for being broken. Yeah. In the book, I feel like, and I've always interpreted it this way, he collects things that are broken and already have the seams on them. And it doesn't seem like he would purposely break something. He would want to fix something that is broken to make it more beautiful. In the movie, he breaks them himself to fix. That doesn't add up in my brain to be his character. Oh, I also realized I didn't yet speak about how Grace and Henry are different in the movie than the book as their character as a whole. I will get to that. But he breaks them himself to fix. That doesn't make sense because it's supposed to be an analogy, right? So is the movie trying to say that he broke Grace to fix her? Because he did not break Grace. Grace was already broken. He's trying to fix someone who can't be fixed because they need to do things on their own terms. That's the thing that I get from it. But I don't know. Oh, also, speaking of things that they change for no reason seemingly, on Dom's grave in the movie, it says, to live in hearts we leave behind is not to die. I don't understand the reason they changed that. I'm not sure word for word. I'm taking this from memory. But I believe in the book it's that if love could have saved you, you would have lived forever. That's what's on his grave. What's the purpose in changing that? I don't understand why they're like changing all these things for no reason. Okay, now let's talk about their characters, Grace and Henry. Well, Henry, his whole thing is supposed to be that he's not good with words unless he's writing them. But he doesn't really have much issues speaking at all. He doesn't really seem to have anxiety or be anxious or like have issues speaking to people. I mean, he's the one who goes up to Grace multiple times, starts the conversation. So that doesn't make sense, first of all, right off the bat. Grace. I already said the whole thing about the toxicity. We don't see the toxicity in her character and all that. But we also miss so much of the two of them interacting. So first of all, Grace's whole thing when she first meets Henry is that she asks him two questions. What's his favorite color and what's his favorite song? And he has to really think, and he gives these meaningful things, and his favorite color actually correlated to becoming my favorite color for a very, very long time. I never like outwardly said that it's my favorite color because it's very specific. I like to pick general colors to be my favorite color, but needless to say, he said his favorite color was acid green because it's the color of his sister and his nephew's eyes. When they have brown eyes, but when they shine in the sun, they show this beautiful acid green color. that has been my favorite color for a very long time because of this book. So I was not happy that that was just like cut out. And the third question is supposed to be, have you ever had a girlfriend, and whatever. But the thing is, Grace tells him in the movie that she liked him, or started going for him, because when she was driving with him, that was the first time she didn't think about Dom. She didn't think about him for 20 minutes. That does not make any sense, and I'll tell you why. We barely see them speak. We all of a sudden see them like liking each other and all this stuff, but we don't see a build up to that. It pretty much goes from 0 to 100 real quick, and we don't see this build up. We don't see any conversations happening, and it's just like, what? There's one montage scene where we hear them talking, and he's talking about jamming his finger in a pencil sharpener, which never happens in the book. There's plenty of weird things in the book that they could have said to have their conversations, so I don't know why they made up something new. And it's just like, but before then, we didn't see any developing relationship or anything like that. So it's just strange. I don't understand. Alright, I'm gonna move on. Let's see what else is in my notes. The song. So when their song plays in the movie, Henry says he thinks it's their song, and she flips out, it's not our song, blah blah blah. She plays the song in her car all the time, so when she's at his house, he plays the song, and she freaks out. In the movie, the song is Take Care by Beach House. In the book, she says it's their song, and he gets really happy because he didn't think they had a song, and it shows more how she's leading him on, but really she's talking about Dom. It was her and Dom's song. So in the book, the song was Someday by the Strokes. One, why did they switch that around to who's gonna say it's their song? It fits the storyline to be Grace who says it's their song because it shows how she's leading him on. Second, what is the purpose in changing the song? That just frustrates me beyond belief, because what's the point in changing the minutia of it? You should just be making a script out of the book, condensing the book into a script, not just changing things for no reason. Anyways, another thing. At the party, he's smoking instead of drinking. They're having weed, doing weed, whatever you say, however you say it, instead of drinking alcohol. What's the point in that? Again, just another thing they're changing for literally no reason. I don't understand. Another thing. He's supposed to have a sex talk with his sister Sadie, Henry is. And also his parents are supposed to give him condoms. So I don't know how he got condoms in the movie. They never talk about it. They never show it. His parents are supposed to give him condoms. Sadie's supposed to talk to him, have a sex talk, be like, are you ready? Are you sure? Do you know how to use a condom? This, that. Being basically a good big sister, making sure he's ready, taking care of his mental health, and being like, are you sure? This and that. You know? Normal things. Your family should talk to you about those sort of things as you're growing up. It's important. Because otherwise you do stupid stuff like Henry does in the movie. Which, this is why it frustrates me beyond belief, because they don't really mention that he's doing it wrong. Grace just takes it from him and does it for him. He tries to open the package of the condom with his teeth. Please do not do that. If you watch that movie and you want to think that's correct, no. Do not do that. Do not use your teeth. Don't understand. The book shows a healthy relationship with your family, of them teaching you the things you need to know and having healthy, open conversations about things that need to be spoken about. And it shows you how to properly do things, not use your teeth. I don't know why the movie would have that in it. Like, it's supposed to have all these things for young people, like supposed to be a lot of good things in there for that young people can watch it and feel better about themselves, and you're just giving them wrong information. I don't know, I didn't understand why that happened. The next thing, when Grace comes and picks up Henry, she's supposed to do it in like the middle of the night, like early morning, but like when he's first waking up, you know? She's supposed to drive herself there, not tell him that she drove herself there, and then they're supposed to go out to the car together, and he's like, oh whoa, you drove here? And it's supposed to be like very early, and he has to convince his parents to let him and all this stuff. Well, in the movie, she texts him, be ready at 12 or noon, and she drives there, he sees her driving up. What's the purpose in changing that? And just a little minutia of the book that you're changing. Why? Stay as true to the book as you possibly can. Isn't that the whole point of making a movie adaptation? I don't know. Okay, next thing that really bothered me. In the book, she drives him to the crash site, but she doesn't actually take him to the actual site. Like, she just takes him to the national park. Grace takes Henry. And then she, like, leaves for a bit, goes to the site, and then comes back, and he doesn't know where she went. And that's supposed to be another thing where it shows like she's hiding things from him, lying to him. In the movie, she takes him straight to the crash site with her. They're literally, it's supposed to, They're changing the fact that in the movie she's not hiding things from him, really. So it's just like, what's the storyline anymore? You're taking away so many things that make the story what it is. So it's just so confusing. I'm like, what are you getting at here? I don't understand. Alright, that's all I have written down. So let's talk a little bit about the plot line. So, I don't even know. The movie's plot, like I said already, goes very fast. We don't really see a switch. However, something that also really bugged me is that they're supposed to go to the first party together, Hessen's party, right? And that's where they're supposed to have their first kiss. And then she's gonna freak out because she doesn't want people knowing they're together and all this stuff. But in the movie, all throughout the movie, first of all, their first kiss is in private. And also, every time they're kissing after that, and every time there's people around, they're very clearly together. She never wants to keep it a secret. She never feels embarrassed. She never talks about how she has to have this pain and all this because of Dom's parents and how she feels she deserves to suffer more and all this stuff. That's a huge thing. And then, like I said, with the whole redemption story in the newspaper, that's a whole big thing in the storyline. It's a main part of the storyline, and they just cut all that out. I don't understand why. I'm really at a loss for why they cut so many things or switched out so many things for other things, and just, I don't know. Like, I feel like I've already named so many things from my list, from my brain, different things that are just utterly wrong and different from the book to the movie. And it's just like, I know I'm forgetting so many more things that were wrong. So it's just like, what did they get correct? I don't understand what they got correct, you know? Like, they got the bare bones correct, right? There's a girl, Grace. She got in a car accident with her boyfriend. He died. She survived. Meets a boy named Henry. They like each other, but they can't be together because of her boyfriend that died. And they don't end up together. And there is a newspaper. And there is Lola and Murray. They exist. And that's pretty much all they got correct, I would say. And throughout the whole thing, I was like pointing out little things to Fiona whenever they said a quote from the movie. It happened maybe 3 times that they said a quote from the book. And they weren't even accurate quotes. They were all slightly different. I will say the one thing that I liked in the movie is that the Neruda quote, the I love you in the darkest. Why am I forgetting it? I used to know it by heart. I need to find it. Hold on. I love you as certain dark things are to be loved, in secret between the shadow and the soul. That quote. They read the whole poem out. I really liked that. I did. I thought that was really great. And a play on something from the book that they expanded on that would have been a good play if everything else was from the book as it should be. But one thing that did bother me is that she gave him the whole book when she gave him the poem. When in the book, she rips out the page that has the poem on it. And that's significant because it shows that she doesn't have connection to physical items and makes Henry be like, oh wow, like she doesn't care about physical things, she's not materialistic, and it's something he notices about her. So I didn't like that didn't happen, but something interesting that I did find, and they could have ripped out the page and still did this because Henry ends up ripping out the page later on. Obviously they had to shrink the book somehow. So this is one thing that they did that I liked and I thought it was okay. So in the book, he has the thing with the paper from the poem. It gets ripped up, whatever, and at the end, it gets put back together with gold seams. Then he gets her a book for her birthday, and he rips up the pages and burns all the pages. They combined that, and he burns the pages. He burns the page with the poem on it, and Grace takes the burnt poem and puts the gold seams on it. So they combined those 2 things from the book together. I thought that was pretty well done. I thought it was an interesting way to shorten the book, but still include 2 different things, you know? But they didn't do that with other things. They just completely changed them. So that was just where it was like, So I guess there was a couple things they did good, but it's just so frustrating because to me, watching it was just a normal movie, but it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a book adaptation. So it's like, when I'm looking at it through the eyes of this book, it's not what it's supposed to be, and it just frustrates me, it upsets me. I know I'm probably forgetting so many things. So what I'm gonna do right now, see if I'm forgetting. I'm going to flip through this and stop. Let's see what's on this page, see if it is anything that we would forget. Movies. They didn't go to the movies together. He asks her once and she flat out just says no. So I don't know. They didn't do any of the movie scenes in the movie. Movie scenes in the movie. Because they go see 2 movies together in the book. I believe 2. A Liam Neeson film and a Pixar film. So I don't know. They also left out when they go to the festival. I already said they left out the birthdays. I'm sure they left out many more things. Let's do another flip through and see what I land on. This part is about Sita, Marie's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, love interest, I guess. And also Madison. So I already spoke about that a bit. Oh, I also thought it was really funny how they paid Madison with a Pizza Hut coupon when they wanted to find information about Sita and Grace. So I was also disappointed. I thought that would be a really funny scene. They also, the major thing, how they actually get together is that Henry makes a PowerPoint presentation on why she should date him. And that's how he finds out about Dom. In the movie, he doesn't do that at all. He never does this big courageous act to get her. It's just when the song plays, I was talking about earlier, their song, that's how he finds out, because he plays the song and she's like, it's not our song, Henry, it's Dom's, and whatever. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. So they just did it so different. It's just, they have certain things in the movie, but they so easily could have used the scenes that were more important. They cut out the most important scenes, it feels like. And they cut out so many characters, and it's just, I would have rather sat through a 5-hour movie that was exact to the book than have this. Because this just feels like lost potential now. Because no one's gonna make this movie again, so it's just gone, you know? There's no chance now to get a movie that's gonna be like the book, because they don't do that. They don't remake the same book twice unless it's like Shakespeare or something. So it's just really frustrating. I've read this book for years now, and I remember years ago thinking to myself imagine one day if this movie came out and I was Grace. I played Grace. And how I would make sure to play her right and do everything right, and I would make myself look exactly how she's supposed to look and all this stuff. And now that there actually is a movie, and it's nothing like how I always fantasized and pictured it as, it's just disappointing. But let me do one more flip through. Let's see what I'm gonna find. See, I already talked about this. Oh, something I think they actually did good. This was probably my favorite scene in the movie. So, in the book, Grace calls Henry Dom. After her birthday party, he's helping her get in a car to get home, and she says, I love you, Dom. And he's crushed. That is a really interesting part of the book, but it's so quick. It lacks a lot of emotion. Not lacks, it's just not as emotional as this movie scene. So instead of that, because her whole birthday wasn't in it, the scene where she goes missing and he goes and finds her, Henry finds Grace, she's crying and she calls him Dom, but it kind of gets glossed over that she calls him Dom because she's so upset and so emotional, and Henry just wants to take care of her. I think that really showed, that one scene showed the whole storyline between Grace and Henry very fluidly, is that she is hurting and she is being harmful to Henry. She's calling him a different person and leading him on and hurting him like that, and yet Henry is still there. He's still not leaving. He's still trying to help her. That one scene shows that whole thing, and she's crying Dom, I'm sorry, Dom, it was all my fault, and he's just no, Grace, no, it wasn't, no, it's not your fault, blah blah, it was an accident, and trying to help her. And I don't know, I just really I like that. So let's end on a positive note. Something I liked about the movie, I think that scene was my favorite scene in the movie. But yeah, I'm sure I have way more to talk about this book and movie, so if you guys comment down below, we can get into conversations about it. But yeah, alright guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.